Namaste to all. How do we react to death of a very close relative, or how do we understand the death of a very close relative? Suddenly, like our parents may pass away, our close friends, our spouse or kids, sudden heart attack or accident or some sudden disease comes and then they pass away. Like in the COVID times, we saw many people, dying. How do we understand, or how do we take this death? What is the message from the Vedas on the topic of death? This is very, very important for all of us to understand, because when death happens, suddenly death happens of a close relative, the world comes to a sudden stop for us, unless if we have a knowledge to understand what is death. Because God says in the Vedas very clearly, death can never happen, because death never happens. That's a fact. But how do we understand the person who was with us day and night in the same house, in the same room, suddenly he or she vanishes? So how do we take that? What is the message of Almighty God in the Vedas? In fact, Vedic Sanatan Dharma, if you see, they are deep rooted on death. Because once we understand death, we can understand life, and we can understand how to live a proper life. I made a poster a couple of days back that try to discover death before it discovers you. It's very, very important. This is the main motto of human life. In fact, Almighty God says the main motto of human life is overcome death. How do you overcome the cycle of birth and death, the ocean of sorrows? Because taking birth is a sorrowful thing. It is a misery. Because when you take birth, you have to come to this world, and then you have to undergo your karma phal, the result of the deeds of your karma. Then you again get into the trap of the Maya, and then get into the cycle of death and birth. So it's very, very important for all of us to understand about death. In fact, Almighty God says in Atharvaveda very clearly that Ten odanena mrityum atitarani. There is only one way possible to overcome death. Atitarani, mrityu means death. Ten odanena, by brahmodanam. Only by brahmodanam, by eating the food of Brahma, consuming the Vedic knowledge, consuming the brahmodanam, only you can overcome the fear of death, you can overcome the sorrow of death, and you can yourself overcome death. So this is extremely important for us to understand, and that is why I have always told that brahmodanam is the most important thing in our life. But we are totally focused on panchodanam. Every one of us is totally focused on what should I eat, weekend plan, go to this party, go to that tourist place. Even when death happens, right, when somebody dies suddenly, for the 1 month or 2 months, what happens inside us is we will feel that this world is useless place. Everybody has to die. Even my husband will die, my wife will die, my kids will die. Why I should suffer so much of pain? There is no meaning for the life. These kind of thoughts comes up, and there is a kind of vairagya that will come up. That is called as a Shamshan Vairagya. Shamshan Vairagya is a very temporary Vairagya. Temporary detachment towards the worldly objects will happen, but suddenly it will vanish. Over a period of time, it will vanish. But we must try to understand that, we should not get into this temporary detachment. We must always try to go towards permanent detachment or attachment towards Almighty God. When we attach ourselves towards Almighty God and Acharya, then we are detached from the world. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult to get attached to Acharya and detached from the world. Extremely difficult. But still, this is what Vedas advise, that yunjate mana yuto yunjate. Keep your mind, keep your intellect, keep your buddhi, keep your atma on the lotus feet of Acharya, because Acharya always gives Brahmanyanam, and that Brahmodanam will take you from the sorrow of the death. And Patanjali Muni says in Yoga Sutra, Vidusho api rudaha abhinivesha. Abhinivesh means the fear of death. Abhinivesh means death. Death and the fear of death is common for all the people in this world, whether he is a Vidwan or he is a Murak. So, Aruda means, and Swarasavahi, the sutra says Swarasavahi. Swarasa means it is from eternal times that death is common for every one of us in this world. It's common, it cuts across everyone. Even my Acharya always says that at one point of time, this entire universe will get into the death. That means the entire universe goes into pralaya. So death is for certain. We must understand what dies, and we must understand what lives. See, what lives will never die, and what dies is never going to be alive. So, but the problem is because of avidya, because of ignorance and the trap of our mind in the Maya, we understand that somebody is dying, but honestly speaking, this body, my Acharya always says, this human body is already dead. Nobody will think of this fact that this human body is already dead. It appears to be alive because of presence of us inside us. And we are Jivatma. Jivatma is alive, Chetan Tattva. Chetan Tattva can never become dead. Yeah, but the problem for us is we are living with somebody in our house, and suddenly he or she vanishes. Then we are unable to digest their absence. So we have to prepare ourselves mentally to understand this concept. How do I digest their absence? Like my wife was beautifully telling some time back when her mother passed away, and my wife's mother is also extremely close to me, very, very close to me. So, she was telling, see, I am now feeling for my mom. She died. Thing which is unable to be digested by me is she does not know that I am crying for her. She does not know that you are thinking about her, or we did her da sanskar. Nothing. She is aware. She is just gone. That's it. This is the reality. Like, if somebody dies, they will not know that we are having so much of love towards him or her. So this is basically about our attachment towards them, not about, because they have already gone. They are Jivatma. The body is already dead. The body is burned in the fire. That's it. Burnt in the fire. So God says in the Atharvaveda, Manah Tatra Magat. Do not keep your mind, or do not put your mind on the path of the death. Put your mind on the path of the moksha. That means put your mind on the path which will take you towards moksha, which will take you towards enlightenment. And Almighty God says, Ma Pramadaha in the same mantra. God says, when you are living life, try to understand that anyways, everybody will leave you one day. So do not get into attachment. When you get into attachment, the death will be totally sorrowful to you, the other's death. And also when you die, you will die out of extreme pain because you are totally attached to the world. You don't want to die. Yasmani also says that everybody thinks that they don't want to die. Everybody has this, internal, let's say, desire that let me live forever. This is there across in all the people except for yogis, rishi munis, because they know what is death, etc. So God says, Ma Pramadaha, when you live life, understand the life, and then don't get into attachment. You must do your moral deeds, kartavya karma. When you do kartavya karma, when you do everyday sadhana, when you do everyday worship of Almighty God, at one point of time internally you will start getting detached with the people. That means you will not hate anyone. You will have extreme love, you will have extreme compassion, you will have all your good character with them, but you will not be in the trap of attachment. That means if they are not there sometimes in your life, they suddenly pass away, or somebody is leaving you to overseas for 2 years, 3 years. When something this kind of situation happens, you will not have any misery inside you, because Ma Pramadaha. God says, try to go to Acharya and learn how to live life like this. And Acharya will tell you Abhyas. Acharya will teach you Ashtanga Yoga. Acharya will teach you the philosophy of the Vedas and sadhana. And when you try to do the same sadhana day in and day out every day, and when you remember me, Almighty God, you will come out of the attachment. And God says in the same mantra, God says, it's in Atharvaveda, I forgot the reference, but in Atharvaveda, God says one important thing, that when somebody passes away, Ma means no, don't cry for I forgot the word in the Sanskrit, but God says in the mantra, don't cry for the people who are dead, because when you cry for the people who are dead, it is actually meaningless. Neither they are going to be aware that you are crying, nor that your crying is going to give you any benefit. So don't cry and waste your time. Instead of crying for them, try to do yajna. Go to Acharya yajna for them, that let the Jivatma go into a better Sharira, let he or she get a good birth so that they can come into the Vedic path again. Try to do yajna for them, but don't cry for them, and don't get into the misconception or superstitious beliefs of, okay, the Jivatma is hungry, he or she is waiting for food, I have to give food for first year, second year, like that. Don't do these kind of acts. And also God says in the mantra, Vishve Deva Abhirakshantu Tveha. That means when you are following the footsteps of Veda, when you do not cry for the people who are dead, when you are not attached to the people who are live with you, what will happen? Vishwe Deva Abhirakshantu. Your Indriya, your Man, your body, Sthul Sharira, everything will be protected by Vishwe Deva, the Vidwans. Plus all the Vishwe Deva here also means the Jad Devata. The sunlight, the moonlight, the earth, everything will start protecting you because you are extremely detached person. You are having Vairagya and your main motto is to realize who are you. If that happens in your life, Vishwe Deva Abhirakshan, everything will start protecting you. So we should not get into the vicious cycle, a vicious circle. Basically, when somebody dies at home, the first thing that will happen to us is we will get their memories so much. Like my mom used to feed me, my wife used to be so loving, so caring with me. Now nobody is there for me. How beautiful she was, how beautiful he was, how much caring he used to give me. All those kind of memory will come for sure. This memory can be stopped only by Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, by Yoga Sadhana. Otherwise, when somebody dies, we cannot escape the misery. Even, people say, like I was seeing a video, it's a very touching question by one lady. She said, my mother passed away. She's talking to Jaggi was there. My mother passed away, but none of my sadhana, so far I have learned so much of spiritual things from you, none of my sadhana helped me to overcome my sorrow of my mother's passing away. So, of course, he cannot answer this kind of question. Jaggi was there, but we must understand, yes, what sadhana we are doing, whether that sadhana will give us any benefit to overcome death or not. That is the most important thing. No sadhana can help us to overcome death, because the sadhana what we are doing as sadhana is not real sadhana. Shankaracharya ji says very beautifully, nahi nahi rakshati dukriya karane. When the death comes, when the death strikes you, at that point of time, nahi nahi rakshati dukriya karane means you are extremely expert in Sanskrit philosophy, Sanskrit grammar. Even Sanskrit grammar will not protect you. Sanskrit grammar means everything. If somebody says anything in Sanskrit, you can understand the meaning. Even if you are a Sanskrit grammarian, that Sanskrit knowledge will not protect you. The only thing that will protect you is Bhaj. Bhaj Dhatu means, Bhaj means here Yajna. Bhaj means Bhaj Dhatu, Bhaj Sevayam. Dev Puja Sangati Karanam Dhaneshu. Seva to Acharya, Seva to Almighty God. How can you serve Almighty God? You cannot serve Almighty God by giving food or drinks or etc. etc. You can serve Almighty God by obeying His orders in the Vedas. So Bhaj Govindam actually means to serve the Acharya, to serve the Almighty God. Govind actually means Almighty God here. Go means this entire universe. Vind means one who wins over it. So we must worship that Almighty God who is the Lord of this universe. If you worship that Almighty God, He will protect you at the time of death. That means after death, He will award you another human birth. And then again you will start your tapasya. And similarly, when you die, you will not die in pain. You will understand what is death. You will understand that, okay, I am just leaving my body, just like I am changing my clothes, I am leaving my body. And the next body, again, I will have to continue my journey. So if this knowledge is there with all the relatives in the house, they will also not feel bad. They will also understand, he or she has to go at any point of time, and sudden death will not happen also. So this is extremely important for us to understand the philosophy of death. There are so many other things my Acharya has taught. My Acharya always told that obey the instructions of Almighty God. Do Agnihotra. When somebody dies every day, at least take this opportunity to come to the Vedic path. When somebody dies at home, you are extremely sad. Take this opportunity, come to a Vedic path. Come to Agnihotra. Start doing everyday Agnihotra, Gayatri Mantra Agnihotra, or the full Vedic procedure. Try to chant Gayatri Jap. Try to understand the qualities of Almighty God. Slowly try to come towards the Vairagya path or the Moksha path. Otherwise, this temporary Vairagya will exist for some time and then it will vanish. Again, we will get into the everyday activity of the world, and something else will again happen. Then again we will think, what is the use of this life? So the use of this life is very clear. Almighty God says the use of this life is to, I have given you this life, I have given you everything, I have given you even the Veda mantra, I have given you how to worship, I have given you everything possible. What you have to do, just follow, do sadhana and realize who are you. If you realize who you are, you will realize also that who is Almighty God, because I am already inside you. So let's try to focus on this. let's try to slowly come out of death, the sorrow of the death of the close people. If you want, also try to travel to such places where acharya is there, where a samadhist yogi is there. So if you travel after somebody is gone, you travel to an acharya will give you brahmodanam again. It will give you so much extreme peace of mind also. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.